watch New Jack City.
The black political consciousness is not from New Jack City.
When I said I was curious, I meant if you think of this, if you think of the example, I really want
All right, simple example.
Yeah.
gender.
Slave versus enslaved. Slave is a verb. Enslaved still gives a person a noun. It's a person who has been.
Woke that you even know about that. Like most people wouldn't.
I just said that the black political consciousness, we got our own language too.
Yeah.
So things like that would be like, enslaved, you're still a person who had this happen to you. Slave takes on the identity of that person and they're no longer equals.
We can
Yeah.
we can go somewhere with that. We get there.
Okay. Anyway,
You're live, buddy.
good. That's what I want to hear. Now that we got it's 2:20 and we got rid of all that Travis Scott talk and gender and black consciousness talk. We're not related. Derek Scott and Travis Scott.
Oh, okay.
What we are doing is making a poster. It is really not that complicated. You could probably, now that the data is up on the Canvas site, and don't check because when I say it is now, I mean when this class is over, I'm gonna put it up there. You could probably do this like this weekend and then like, you know, that just be it, not worry about this class when you got other things to do. Because any paper or poster is just going to have these sections. Right now, we finished the articles that will go into our lit review. So if you see lit reviews, they just are, what has everybody else said about this topic? Every semester, multiple students do this and say they're confused. None of the articles were about Miami. And I'm saying the first sentence says, what we're doing is a case study of Miami. We're seeing in general, you see like the articles that we read, they talk about in general, what's the problem? And then they look at 7,600 schools in Texas or something, right? Texas, right? So we're looking in general, people are saying this is the relationship of poverty and race and education. Now, specifically, we're going to put it to test in Miami. So the articles we read are about, in general, poverty and education and race and education. We're looking at Miami, and we have data for Miami that looks like this. Not just looks like this, but is this. So this column H is the percent of economically disadvantaged students. Column G is the percent of minority students. Then we have 5 different performance indicators. So these would be our constants, G and H, and these would be our variables. Constant meaning you have this one, say, just isolate, say, poverty. How is poverty impacting these other things? Because you can't look at it the other way. You can't say science grades, how is science grades impacting poverty? We wouldn't say that. We're looking at poverty and how is poverty affecting the performance gap between English, math, science, the graduation rate, and the school grade. Now, the other constant is minority. Now, this is like national statistics type of stuff. So we run into a problem here in Miami. What's that problem? Everybody's a minority. We found out Miami's only 14% white, and that's mostly the adults. Like when you get to actual kids going to public schools, and not many whites in Miami-Dade, not many white students going to public schools. Even if you self-identify as white, like so much of Miami does, America does not consider you white. And I have students, and particularly even that student who helps us run, who's been our PR person for our clubs, say how he's related to some queen of Spain. And I'm thinking, right, So why didn't you go back to your castle in Spain instead of immigrating here to Miami? Yeah. I know. You could have inherited the whole freaking country. But you're here in Hialeah. Sorry. Yeah, Hialeah is a new promise. Yeah. Regardless of who is in your past, all of your ancestors, white takes on a definition. This is like 4 years into college and like you're adults now. Certainly you've heard these things are a construct. And one way we can prove it's a construct is every time you move somewhere else, the ideas of race change, right? So it's not exactly truth, it's made up. What the definition is for the US, that's why they put non-Hispanic next to it, because it doesn't matter if you're related to some queen of Spain. If you came from Cuba, if you came from Colombia, you're not in the club. Yes.
I run into this because I work at a museum, and so we have a trolley that has like the segregation sign.
Yeah.
And all these kids would usually come in.
Wait, what?
We have a sign that says all whites sit in the front, right? And
Oh.
right. So
Like historic. Just,
yeah, it's a historic
Okay.
trolley.
I'm thinking like, wait, Miami didn't know
We
that?
have classes from like Doral or other parts of the majority are like Cuban American kids. They're like, oh, we would sit in the front, and I'm like, and like it shocks them, and like I think it's fun because like the teachers are like, it's like you are a minority, everybody else would be, they just live in a weird place.
We talked a lot about this in Carter. Yeah, and when Hispanic people leave Miami, they are
They're
very,
shook.
very shook.
Yeah.
And then they come back.
And then they come back. Like, that's not right.
Yeah, people like another state, like they go to Orlando. You can go
Yeah.
miles from here.
You go Broward.
That's
Yeah.
That's why we can
Myers, and my mom and I weren't allowed to go inside a gas station because it's a no speaks allowed. And I'm like the only person
Where was
that
that?
speaks English. So
Where-
my dad
where?
was allowed to go in. It was in Fort
You could
Myers.
sue, I think, right? I don't know. Didn't they sue somebody for not making a cake?
In St. Augustine, like,
Because they were gay? Didn't somebody sue because like the baker didn't want to make a cake because they were gay? Then they got a lot of they got the cake and money on top of that? You can sue their ass. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't eat the cake,
Yeah, they can poison it.
Yeah, obviously. Don't eat the cake, but get the money.
2 years of fighting.
So that's the problem. Well, the problem with our data when we look at Miami is that like everybody's considered a minority. We got like there's only a couple schools where it falls below. Like 66 is looking like the lowest number in there. What's that? Miami Palmetto. Where's Miami Palmetto? Is that somewhere in South Miami? Kendall? No, you live in Broward.
I think it probably is down south.
Somewhere down south, right? It's so funny how the north half of Miami looks so much more different than the south half of Miami. Yeah, right. So we got to just take this. What do you say with like agate salt or something?
Grain of salt.
Right.
But what about salt?
All right, a pack of salt.
Is that like
Just-
Math science, is that like overall scores?
Yeah. This is, I think, the percentage scoring at the grade level or something like that. There's no passing standardized test, right? This is the percent performing at their grade level. So what I'm getting at, like, it doesn't even really matter. Like, just know that the scores are rankings, but that's what they're saying. Which is also in here. I feel like there's a lie somewhere. So that's what these are test scores of. This are percentages of. But then I'm like, how the hell could these scores be like? All right, tell me a school that you think is going to be mostly. What's like a school in Hialeah? Oh, well, Hialeah. How about that one? How is the English one doing better than math and science? Like of anything. So like in other schools, the math and science are better than the English. American senior high school. Where's that?
That's like close to Broward.
Oh, okay. Not that then.
Yeah, that's
Booker
like
T,
the
Cole
whole
Gig.
split between white people, black people, and Hispanics.
Alton Boarding has a school.
Yeah, it's next to BBC campus. Yeah, I don't know how he got to school. I don't really think of him thinking more of a basketball player, right? I think, right?
Yeah. Seriously.
Anyway, that's what we're trying to do. So take this with a grain, fine, of salt. But still do it, but just because it's going to be a relationship there as well. But really, the economic one will have a much greater we'll be able to see much more of a relationship. Though you will see it with the minority as well. And then, so we have 5 different things to compare them to. Other tricks that we've learned along the way this semester is things like we can make a pie chart, say, of A, B, and C grades, and then maybe even and then look at it after that. One thing that should stand out, like when they first came up with this grading system, there, like the first couple of years, there was like F and D schools. Why are there only A, B, and C schools? Did we get that good? we just got the students just got so much better. Like, how the hell are there no D's and F's? I mean, I think most of the students in FIU and at FIU probably came from public schools in Miami and Broward.
Like with 20% passing rates, they still get a C.
Yeah, all right, look at Miami Central.
Yeah.
Right, well, this is not necessarily, oh no, this is FCAT.
FSA now.
Yeah.
Right, all right, but this is like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But even like, they're the same thing, aren't they? What is the difference?
They're like
Just different standards.
Yeah.
Right.
The only thing
They
that's
raised the
left
standard.
those standards are
science.
supposed to be closer to.
Oh, this doesn't have science,
No,
FSA?
FSA doesn't have. Well, FSA is only for FSA biology. FCAT science for 8th grade. That's tested to 8 years.
Okay,
For science.
gotcha. With everything that we're doing in here also, there is, these are just very preliminary results. We could, and you could even think about, you can think about it theoretically or even the reality of it. I think all of you have to take a second methods class. You can take these preliminary results and then go more in depth in whichever direction you kind of like to go in a final project for one of those classes. Like if you're in GIS, you could then say, well, let's look at this spatially and like throw in some more factors. You, as an anthropologist, no, as anybody, and social or geographer, I'm quite suspicious, and I've heard about this happening. Really, I heard about it happening from a movie when I was in high school. The movie Pump Up the Volume. All right, whatever. You definitely don't need to look back, and it's not a classic like The Breakfast Club, okay? But it's cool because the kid has like a pirate radio station. But like the principal of the school, in order to get the grades up in freshman year, he's like forcing expulsion. Because if the kid gonna lower, you could kind of, if you're the principal, you kind of look, he's looking around saying, I know this kid. He's not gonna make it. He might as well get started at that gas station job now. Let's get him out of my school. I'm not talking about what I would do. I'm talking about, I'm quite suspicious. I see it in the movie, and I'm quite suspicious that maybe, how are they getting the scores up? I don't get it. They're not, nothing has really changed. I mean, I've heard of these things like teachers just like cheating for their whole class.
I mean, like when I would take those tests, a lot of times they give you like these study guide test, they were like the same exact thing as
Yeah.
the test that you take. And I was like, okay, like at least I would catch on. A lot of people would still fail, but I would catch on and be like, this is the same thing I did like yesterday.
Yeah.
Or
It's
it's
like
like
previous
open.
years would be released and then teachers would use those. as,
Wow.
like,
And they're like the same question.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
versus-
And if you fail that test, they have like a bunch of other secondary tests that they can give you so you don't fail.
retakes.
Oh wow.
So they changed the
What a
strategy.
system.
It's not so much as
Because they don't actually want to teach you, they just want to keep going,
fast.
keep passing.
Oh, I'm seeing all of his updates on you don't see it, but I'm seeing it.
Notifications.
Yeah, your notifications here. So but like we're not gonna do this, we're just gonna look at the preliminary results of what you find in the data. And then but you could, like in your future section, say, I want to go in this and lay out what you would do coming next. And if you ever go to a conference, especially grad students will have like their, all right, so if you're getting a PhD, before you go to your proposal stage of what you're actually gonna do your field work on, you need to find some preliminary results kind of thing, and you state what the results are to prove your case to your committee, and then lay out what it is you're going to then do, the logic of what the next step is. So you can almost think of it as that, like based on these preliminary results, we see these kind of things happening. So there's some schools that are gonna be low income, but still are performing better, or maybe performing high in one thing and not in the others. Like, but there's that high school that like I work with, iTech, which is at Edison, and it throws off the whole Edison numbers because they have GIS there. But not everybody takes GIS. But those students aren't necessarily good with English, but their math and science is really up there. English, not so much. So let's go back to the sheet of notes that I have here. This is a case study of Miami Public Schools. Now, these are the sections of the poster we are doing. We've already done most of these sections though. We just meet to make it flow better. So the articles I wrote all semester, really just the past 3 weeks, have had these sections in them. And we've asked you to take the articles and so we understand them better, organize them into this format. What is the data that they used? What are their conclusions? Right? But now it's hard to think because the articles have these sections, but we're now going to make our own article that also has these sections. So what we read is only going into this part though. Right? The data we have is coming strictly from the data I just, I got confused with which, because I'm like looking this way, but it's there and I'm looking at you and I almost fell. Everybody laughed at me. I'm old and fat. Fine. Huh? It was more complex than that?
No.
Don't worry about it. I like to laugh too, David. Tell me what's so funny. So the articles the past 3 weeks, the articles are only going into this section. We know extracted what is significant in there, the data they used, what is the results, what are the conclusions, that kind of thing. If we string that together, we can make a lit review. Now, lit reviews will be pages long, but we're making a poster. So how big do you think it is on the poster? 3, did I write that?
Yeah.
I sure did. 3 paragraphs. It doesn't even need to be 3 paragraphs. I mean, as long as you're saying what was significant in those 3 articles to come up with, like, this is what, to summarize the relationship between poverty and race as it comes to school performance. You can summarize, from these 3 articles, we make a summary. And that is the lit review, or background, we should call it. And that should give us like our theoretical framework of what we're looking at for Miami. What should be our expected results based on what other authors have come up with. So then we take our data, which we, meaning I, but gave to you, got from publicly available Miami-Dade school site. Miami-Dade public school data. Now, if you ever was interested in taking this to some next level, we have all of the, Jesus, all right, oh, that's fine. So this is a different school. This is just the school grade of all the schools in Dade County. I didn't even really want to download that. All I really wanted to say was like we can get all kinds of data. So this is all different performance indicators, FCAT specifically. What's SYA? Oh, comprehensive English language, whatever.
Then you have to.
No, you have to take a to go into regular English.
Oh my God. With the damn standardized testing. And they're just gonna make more. And you know at some point, you know this is coming. Public university is gonna have standardized testing.
Other than that, 16.
No. Your college years is going to have standardized testing at some point. If you go to public university, there's no way around this. Because this is all, like if you think about this, this is nothing to do with you, the student.
It's bureaucracy.
This is, yeah, the bureaucracy coming from Tallahassee all the way down. And I'm not just picking on Florida. Florida gets picked on by the rest of the country as being one of the worst. And it's because it's like an unfair comparison. It's the South, but it's like the richer of the southern states, but it still performs like Alabama ways.
It's real hard.
I'm not trying to, but this is nothing, like, it's not as if you go off and you're trying to get into like Harvard and you're saying, oh, I got on my FCAT this, and this, because you probably got on it or care, because it doesn't matter. Because this is the only way of grading your school, and then your school can grade your teachers. So if they're giving out all of this wonderful funding, and what's it called, like, when you get like above a B in public education and you get to go to school for free in Florida, like a sunshine.
Bright futures.
Bright futures.
Pretty close. Close enough.
Yeah.
Very close.
Bright future. I mean, it's a lot of like FIU is expensive. No, it's not. It's like really cheap because our taxpayers are subsidizing like $700. This school, like the difference. Like costs $25,000 a semester, probably. Probably.
It is.
Right.
Yeah,
That sounds right.
$25 a semester. FIU costs like $3,500. Right, but FIU actually costs $25,000 a semester too. The state is just picking up the rest of it.
Well, that's. I went to USF and my tuition was lower than. That's weird. I don't know.
It's also the time you went to USF before. They raise it every year. Like how much the rates. Also, Miami's more expensive than wonderful and sunny Tampa.
Miami's costly.
Yeah.
because now it's like opposite. Because a lot of my friends went to UCF. Those schools and they came to FIU because it's cheaper.
The
Yeah.
UCF, I don't know, but USF is cheaper.
CF is cheap.
They're all pretty cheap. They're all in the 3,000s if you're in state.
Out of states, like almost 10,000.
Yeah, out of state because it's our state taxes that's going to pay for it, and that's a big thing. We want to have an educated population here in Florida, so we're willing to invest in the youth. You know.
You can be our
Yeah. That's why it makes no sense. Don't ever go or let your kids go to out-of-state school.
Yes.
That makes no sense at all.
Same education.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no
Tons of
difference.
kids went to like University of Alabama from my high school.
That's
Unless you get a scholarship.
unless you get a scholarship, and overwhelmingly that would be because you play some sport
Yeah.
and you're smart enough and
What
like
if they're like they
not
have
risk
better
your life.
programs? Like, what if they're like more like?
So we have universities in Florida.
Florida's different.
Yeah,
They got
Like what do they have in Alabama that they don't have in Florida? What do they have good in Alabama that they don't have in Florida?
Like, what if not Alabama, like New York or?
Yeah.
And I would say, even SUNY schools kind of suck unless you go to CUNY, the city university, or you go to their flagship, SUNY Binghamton. But even then, like, you're not getting anything different between there and University of Florida.
Maryland?
Well, then you're talking about a different. They produce a different caliber of students too. Some like Maryland. The judge, like, I don't know if you know it, because I guess he knew I am a Terp. From head to toe. Crawl like a turtle. Yes. Yeah, a Terp. A terrapin is a turtle. Our mascot would eat this panther. Yeah. It's not a snapping turtle, but it is still a dangerous turtle. Anyway, I feel like I've digressed. That's not unusual. You got a lot of comments over there,
Oh yeah.
David. That's good, I think. We're good enough.
I feel like my career choice should have been like movie bloopers. You know, like we put the movie and you're like doing the comments. That would be me.
All right, can we get through this one page and then we're done? We got 15, we got 20, 30 more minutes, but we'll do it in 15. I don't even think I got through the first paragraph because I kind of skipped around and I went to a different page. I gotta follow me too. It's hard. I know. I'm all over the place all the time. What we need to worry about right now is this part and this part. So hold on, go back to the top. The articles we read all semester have these sections, and now this research study we are doing has these too. So one thing to do is just to put these sections onto a piece of paper and then fill it in. Summary of those 3 articles, put it next to the lit review. The data that is now up on the canvas, we need to make visuals, find what is significant, and make visuals that really say something. Are all the A schools the least poor and the least minority? Are the C schools all the poorest and most minority? Are there things in there that are not holding up? Because that would be the assumption based on the literature. So are there outliers in that? We need to make visuals, good visuals. It's a poster. All semester I've been stressing visuals, visuals, visuals. We're making a poster. It's visual by nature. So even the words that we write on it should stand out as something interesting to look at. All right. These are now has these sections too. People who write articles, like the articles that we read, have PhDs. I mean you this time. We're just beginning, and this is practice. This is the first time I think anybody's ever made an original research poster. And it's also not that original because I told you what to do. But that's fine. Some of you had training wheels when you first rode a bike, I bet. I mean, I was riding a Honda 80 before I even rode on a pedal bike. But this is just practice. We are learning how to do it. We are just now learning. So, in just learning, I'm giving you all the things to lay it out. Most people have never made a poster. Most of us have never done any kind of original research. A lot of people at the beginning of the semester were probably kicking at me, and I've actually heard other students say, I've done research and you don't need to know Excel to do research. And I would say you were probably just researching what other people have researched then. If you're doing original research, even if you're doing qualitative interviews in like an anthropologist, they still use Excel. You can't get around it. Because if they're using in vivo, Weidman teaches a class and he's the most, probably in our department, most qualitative, most ethnographic of all the researchers, probably, maybe not, I don't know. He teaches a class on in vivo. In vivo is a program to organize and code your qualitative interviews. When you look at the back end of in vivo, it's an Excel table. So the front end, like what you're looking at on the screen, input. Shut up. It's an Excel table. And you can export it as an Excel table, and you can go back and forth. So the idea of like, and I've said this before, I get you probably don't actually want to be doing research when you finish this. I get that. But this is hopefully things so that like skills you'll learn so that you can, one day it'll click and you can use it in whatever career choice you have. But Excel is just essential to the whole process here. The most important thing here is to just gain an understanding of how all these things work together. There are directions up already, but I am writing them again in a different way. That's not true. This is the first directions. I wrote this last semester, and I guess I had other ones, and I had too many questions, so I said, let me just organize it this way. So let's not worry about the abstract yet. Lit review and the data looks like this. We want to just have a nice looking table, and we want to have visuals. Most importantly is have the visuals so that people can just, when you have a poster at a conference, you're in a room that's bigger than this and there's just posters everywhere. You need to have something that is just eye-catching that says, oh, I can look at the title of what your poster is, and I can look at those visuals, and I get it. Like, it is blatantly in your face. Be it, low-income students are underperforming in Miami, or maybe the point of what you're saying is these schools, given all of these things are happening, these schools are still standout schools, and based on what we all understand about poverty and performance. These schools are beating all the odds. Any questions? So, right now we need to turn the articles into the lit review and the data into good, nice looking visuals. I will see you next Tuesday? No, I won't. We're having a field work day.
Field day would work.
Yeah. No, I will. We'll talk about the abstract and the conclusions I'll send something and you write it out into your poster. But like I said, there's only these sections. You have the most important things are these three right here. I've given you the data. You already have. So there's only 2 class periods. The next class period is a field 7. Yeah.
So last
When is Thanksgiving?
Thursday, yeah. So the last time I'll see you is on November 27th, and you should come in with a kind of rough draft of what your poster looks like. We'll put it up on the big board, and we'll critique it. Say what it should do, because you'll have another week after that to turn in a final poster. So you're never presenting this, you're just turning it in. But if you come in with a draft, then we can look at it and critique it and say what it needs to be complete.
But it's basically just a Word document.
Well, you probably don't want to do it in Word. You probably want to write these sections in Word, but
Some kind of
PowerPoint is simple to use. You can make a PowerPoint slide be 48 by 36, which is the size of a poster. And
just some kind of.
So those are better.
Yeah.
But if you're just not a graphic person, you can do it in PowerPoint and then copy paste, because it's all Microsoft. You can take a Word document, it'll stay formatted, you just throw it in there. So if you write down what your lit review is in Word, you can copy paste it, put it into the PowerPoint, because that'll be the right dimensions.
Yeah, it's just one big slide, 48 by 36.
Yeah, 48 by 36. And yeah. All right, so I just hit end stream there.
Yeah.
And it saves it automatically.